Hi friends, welcome back to the channel today. My name is Carly and today we are going to be doing a Kickstarter preview. The game that we're going to be covering today is called Cosmic Chains from Cyclin Studios, who is helping sponsor this video. Cosmic Chains is a competitive dueling card game where players will compete to construct the longest satellite chain in space. Play as either the AI or the cats as you launch satellites, swap them with others in your chain, or use special abilities to gain an edge or sabotage your opponent. Create chain reactions and powerful combos as you fight to create the most powerful internet connection around in Cosmic Chains. Now this copy of the game that I have in front of me, and obviously I use this for all of the b-roll and everything that you see in the footage of this video, I just want to make it very clear that this is a prototype copy of the game, so all rules, components, everything is subject to change. Having said that though, I do actually have a list of everything that is currently set to be included in the upcoming Kickstarter for this game, so let's quickly go over all that right now. So the base game of Cosmic Chains will include 15 cat satellite cards and then 15 AI satellite cards. It will also include 2 bug tokens, 6 superpower tokens, 8 space debris cards, 8 can and milkshake tokens, and then 2 player aid cards. The Kickstarter exclusive version of this game will offer a couple more things. So some of those include 6 additional satellite cards, 2 holofoil team promo cards, and 1 randomly chosen postcard. So there also are a few add-ons that are currently planned for this campaign. So the first one is actually a really heavy-duty kind of metal coin, and then the other add-on is actually going to be an envelope with the full set of postcards and also a couple additional cards as well. And I believe that for the Kickstarter campaign, the only tier that they're going to be offering is this kind of like this high-end deluxe edition of the game. So like I briefly mentioned before in the overview, Cosmic Chains is a head-to-head card battle. Basically, it's a battle to create the longest connected satellite chain in space. So the setup in this game is a breeze. It literally takes 2 seconds. You basically just decide if you want to be playing as the cats or the AI. You grab those deck of cards, give them a really good shuffle. You do have to establish what direction you will be playing your satellite cards in, because you'll be sitting directly across from your opponent and you'll be playing cards in a chain directly in front of you. So one of the players will be playing from right to left, and then the other player will be playing from left to right. So once you have that figured out what direction you want to start chaining your satellites together, then you'll go ahead and draw 3 cards from your deck and you are ready to play. So there are 3 things that you can do on your turn. The 3 things that you can do are launching a satellite, swapping a satellite, or activating an ability of one of the satellites that are in your chain. So let's kind of briefly go through each of those actions and what they mean. So truthfully, they're all pretty self-explanatory. Launching a satellite basically just means selecting one of the satellites in your hand and adding it to your chain. Now sometimes there are empty slots that may appear in your satellite chain, which we'll talk about kind of in a little bit, but if there is an empty slot in your chain, the next time you launch a satellite, you have to launch it in that empty slot, filling that void. So that's just something to keep in mind. If all of your slots are currently filled, then where you will be naturally placing that satellite is just directly the next open slot in your chain. The next action you can do is pretty self-explanatory as well. You basically just take 2 of your satellites that you want switched and you swap them. You can swap them left to right, right to left, up or down. It's just basically a way to rotate or move some of the abilities that you might have, or the certain types of satellites that you have in your chain. So lots of the cards that are in your hand have certain effects or abilities that you can use throughout the game. So one of the last actions, or the last action that you can do on your turn, is using one of those spendable effects. So a spendable effect is shown with a little blue icon, and there are some spendable effects that can only be used one time, and then there are some spendable effects that you can continue to choose to use again and again and again throughout the game. So for example, this like toxic helper card, it does have a spendable effect, and the effect is destroy one of your satellites by placing this card on it. So if it was my turn, I could use that action of using a spendable effect, and I could use this to destroy my own satellite if I wanted to. There are also instant effect cards. These are green cards that have this little lightning bolt here in this in the corner. And basically what these do is these happen the moment that you use this card. So instead of launching this card, this pew 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 card, I would actually just go ahead and do its instant ability, which is destroy any enemy satellite. So I could, instead of again placing it in my own chain, I would just go ahead and activate this ability using it for its instant. Now the final ability that some of your cards may have is this purple little infinity symbol, which basically just means a background effect. So for example, this buddy buddy buddy, it says makes your adjacent pink satellite cards, which we'll talk about in a second, connectable to the chain if it has not destroyed anything yet. So this is like an effect that is always going on throughout the game. So there are lots of different certain actions and effects that your cards allow you to do, so you kind of have to keep that in mind while you're playing the game. Now, in addition to your card's abilities, there are different types of satellites that are found throughout the game. So we're going to kind of briefly talk about those really quick. So there are yellow, orange, and pink satellites that are found throughout this game. So the yellow satellites, what they primarily do, the yellow and I guess the orange, their primary goal is just to connect to the other satellites that are in your chain. The pink ones, however, are actually kind of more used as weapons throughout the game. And when you do place those into your chain, your weapons actually naturally break your chain in half because they don't naturally connect to the other satellites that are around you. So there are a couple things that you can do to reconnect those satellites into your chain. So the first thing that you can do is, if that pink satellite card is in fact in your own personal chain, you can connect it by having two orange satellites on either side. This naturally, it will connect that pink satellite into your chain. If your pink satellite, however, though, is you used it to destroy an enemy satellite and it is up in your enemy's chain, how you can reconnect it to your chain is by placing, again, an orange card directly underneath it. Again, that helps reconnect it into your chain. So at the end of the game, whatever your longest chain is, if your pink satellite has an orange card underneath it, then you can count that as a part of your longest chain. And I know that might seem kind of like a lot to remember, but the cards actually do a really good job of showing what type of satellite it is and what other satellites it connects to and kind of how it connects to those. So always up at the right hand corner here, it kind of shows all of that information. So you kind of have you always have, a little reminder of what your particular card connects to, what other satellites it connects to. So those are the actions that you're going to be doing in this game. You're going to be either launching satellites, swapping satellites, or activating abilities on your cards. And you're going to be going back and forth doing that until one player has placed or launched their final satellite from their hand into their airspace. And once that happens, then that basically triggers the end of the game, and players will count up their longest connected satellite chain, and whoever has the longest wins. So the game that I just described, that is like the base kind of simple version of this game. The game actually comes with a couple different modules that, as you become familiar with the game and you get comfortable with it, you can add in these modules as you'd like to kind of mix things up and change how the game plays. So we're going to kind of briefly talk about those modules now. So the first mode that you can mix in is the superpower mode that the game comes with. The game comes with these little tokens here, and each player will receive 3 of these, and they basically give you special abilities that you can use throughout the game. You can only use them once though, but it does kind of help change things up. It kind of adds a little bit more spice to the game. And then the next mode that it comes with that you can use is the space debris mode. And so how that goes about operating is you get 3 little space debris cards at the beginning of the game, and if you are able to successfully complete those, then you actually get more victory points at the end of the game. So basically just more ways to win. So I hope that general overview kind of gives you a general idea of how this game operates and plays, but we're going to go ahead and kind of jump into my thoughts on this game, because something that I like to do with my Kickstarters is I like to kind of chat about who I feel like this game would be good for, because I know it's always hard with Kickstarters, trying to just kind of see a couple of videos, a couple of pictures, and see if it's a good game for you. So for me, because I've had the opportunity to play this game, I wanted to chat about the mechanisms that I found in it, and what I found interesting to see if it would appeal for you and be a good fit for your collection. And so obviously coming into this is a 2-player head-to-head competitive game. And primarily, so me I primarily play games at 2 players. That's just kind of what we have time for in our life. It's usually me and my husband. We are usually the ones that sit down or play, or me or Kim. We don't tend to do bigger groups as often because life is just a little bit crazy for us. Automatically drawn in because of that two-player aspect for this game. Most of the times when I see games that are 2 players, I'm automatically drawn in, and it's automatically intriguing to me because that is kind of primarily where I play at. And my husband absolutely loves like 2-player head-to-head card games. His favorite game of all time is like Magic the Gathering. We play a lot of that. And so again, this being a 2-player head-to-head card game, I was like, oh, this might kind of be a little bit interesting. I feel like it kind of takes a different spin on things. So I was really excited to cover this from the beginning and get my hands on this and be able to play it. And it really did a really good job of fulfilling that. It did really feel, it felt very competitive, very head to head. Because as you're launching satellites, your primary focus, well, obviously you're focusing on your own chain, trying to get your own chain as long as you possibly could. But almost in a weird way, you're actually more focused on what your opponent is playing, and you're trying to figure out ways to disrupt and basically screw them over as best as you can, so you personally walk away with the longest chain. And so just that mental game of, yes, I know what cards I have, and but I also know what cards he has, and you're trying to think and remember about the cards that your opponent has. It was just a really interesting puzzle for me. And the interesting thing about this game is the cards, I don't know if I mentioned this before in the overview, but the cards, both of the decks are the exact same. The only thing that is different is the artwork, but the titles and the abilities of all the cards are the same. So the more you play this game, the more it actually rewards you, because you're able to see the combinations better. You're able to figure out ways to chain your cards better together, but then you're also able to remember what your opponent has laid out. And so you're thinking, okay, I know that, my opponent's already laid out this card, so there's no way that he could surprise me with that in the future, or how can I disrupt that card so it doesn't affect me later on. It was just a really interesting puzzle. You have a lot to really think about while you are playing this game. Something else about this game, and I don't know, it might simply just be the artwork, I don't know, but for some reason it didn't feel as mean to me as like Magic the Gathering or some of these other 2-player card games that me and my husband tend to play a lot. And again, it might just be the artwork, because it definitely sucks when you have a super long chain and your opponent comes in and just breaks it right down the middle, and you're like, God, it's so frustrating. But I felt like there was like ways to swap stuff around or change things, or I don't know, for some reason it just didn't feel as like painful as some other ones. It was kind of more just like lighthearted and fun. And this game is so fast. Like we really knock through, once you get to the point like where this game, you're able just to knock through games so fast. And so if you do, end in a total loss, it really takes hardly anything just to reset, reshuffle the cards, and just simply start again. And again, coming back to the artwork here, I think it is it looks just like a very approachable game. The artwork is adorable in it. It is so cute. And I feel like it's really well put together. I feel like the cards were really well balanced, and they played off each other really nicely. I also really love the modes that this comes with, because you're able to kind of mix and match, and they really do change up the game a little bit. Like there was one time where me and my husband are playing, and I really thought I was going to win, and he activated one of his abilities that I didn't even know he had, and then I didn't know he had that one available, and he totally screwed me over, and he won. And so yeah, it's fun to be able to have those modes to mix in especially once you become familiar with the game. But yeah, it's just fun because you have different ways to change up kind of this quote-unquote simple card game. I think my favorite part about this game, though, is how the more you play, the more this game really does reward you. It was interesting. So I actually had the chance to play test this game a handful of months back with the creators of this game. We were able to sit down and play over on TTS, and so I was chatting with them after the game, and they said something really interesting. They said that when they were developing this game, they kind of had this basic idea for it, and then they kind of kept thinking, oh, what if we added this or this or this or this? And eventually they kind of just came back to the conclusion of, no, like, we just need to kind of keep it as simple and as streamlined and as straightforward as we can do. And I think they absolutely accomplished that with this game. It doesn't feel like any fluff is thrown in. It feels just like a simple, pure, fun, head-to-head card game. So kind of coming into my final thoughts here, and if this would be a good game for you, if you do primarily play games at two players, or you do tend to play at 2 players a lot, if you do like, dueling, head-to-head card games, I do think that this is a really good one to add to your collection, and I definitely think it's one that's worth checking out, because again, me and my husband, we had a really great time with this. It was truly just fun, chaotic, just trying to screw over the other opponents. So there you go. That is my Kickstarter preview for Cosmic Chains by Studios that will be launching soon on Kickstarter. If you are interested in this game, make sure you jump over to the pre-launch page for this game that is over on Kickstarter right now, and make sure to sign up so you'll be the first to know that the moment that this game goes live. And as always, all of the information for this video will be posted in the description below. Huge shout out to Studios for helping sponsor this video for us today. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.